Welcome back to Beach Planet. This is the beginning of my Saturday ride, starting from Pillars Cafe in Porter Ranch. We meet at Shepherd Church, which is where Pillars Cafe is every Saturday at 8 a.m. And this crew, let me tell you, if you can, I recommend you watch this video, and I recommend you listen to this audio. If you can do both, hats off to you. But this ride I started doing with Shepherd Church about 12 years ago. I did not want to come to a church and ride. It had nothing to do with the church part. At the time when I got started, I was riding with a lot of what most people would consider fast groups, and I was having fun. So when my buddy Raul had kept inviting me to ride at Shepherd Church, I think it was every third Saturday of the month, I wasn't that interested because I didn't want to do a slow ride. I didn't want to do a ride in the park. I didn't want to chit chat an entire ride. But I was wrong, because my buddy Raul kept telling me about the riders. And eventually I said, alright, let me go try this ride, and I was very happy with it. The riders are all seasoned, experienced, strong. Of course, up to the point of getting dropped even at that time, because the group was hefty, because our pastor Dudley, which he was not my pastor at the time, he was just a guy on a bike who was training, who was suffering, who was getting better and better at riding at the time. And we got to get better together. And eventually, because he was my buddy on the bike, I guess coincidentally ended up riding from his church, not knowing what his church was, but I got to meet him. And he is a great athlete. He was a great rider, because he doesn't ride much these days. But that group really not only pushed me, challenged me, tortured me, but it was a group that I wanted to be a part of. And let me tell you, this was not an easy group to be a part of, because as you know, if you're a cyclist, or if you go into cycling groups, these groups are not easy to be a part of. A lot of it has to do with how we judge each other. It has to do with how we manage our insecurities. And either you're the one with the hard feelings, or people end up with hard feelings. But something about this group, something about being a part of a church, which to me ended up becoming something that was very important to me, which was just trying to get better at life. So, being that Pastor Dudley was a rider, was a cyclist, I decided one day to attend Shepherd Church. And when I first went, my buddy Raul sat me down in the front row because he had worked at the church. He said, "Steve, you should come." So eventually I went to church, and I took a seat on the front row. And kind of the rest is history, because there was some music that started playing, and it really did relate to the words on the screen. It really was the God I was looking for. I had heard of a God who was good. I've heard of a God of miracles. I had heard of a God who would get you through tough times, but I didn't really know where he was. I had attended other churches and different types of denominations of Christianity, and I really didn't see that God there, or learn about that God that I thought, or that I once upon a time had been told about. So just so happened that Shepherd Church was worshiping the particular God that I was looking for. And then Pastor Dudley came out and preached. He just reinforced what I had heard in the worship music that I was reading off of on the screens at church. So it was a good time. But long story short, the Bible has changed my life. Church has changed my life. God has changed my life. And it really is. I've come to understand that really our mission is to put God first. Our mission is to continue to be reminded of God's Word. And our mission is to give the ways of God a chance by implementing them into our lives, testing them, going against what we've learned, going against what we've been taught, going against what we think we've created through our own philosophies. And if we give one or two of these methods a try that maybe seem to be unconventional or sometimes even seem to be weak, if you try them, God shows you something different, and you start to want to do more and more of what God says, and life really does change. But if you didn't notice, we already came up the Sepulveda Pass, over the Sepulveda Pass, we've descended the Sepulveda Pass, and we are now in Santa Monica. I hope you enjoyed the visual of that. I'm really loving this Insta 360 X5. Excuse me. I am enjoying the editing process. I'm enjoying the recording process, which, as you can see throughout this video, I get to move the camera, I get to adjust it, and I get to put it where I want and get some pretty cool shots to share. Did I forget to thank you for watching, for clicking on this video, for giving Beach Planet channel a chance? I hope I haven't lost you. I hope you've made it this far. And look at this. We've made it just about into Santa Monica. This is kind of one of the final stretches that shoots you onto Ocean. And this is the final sprint, and there goes our buddy Klaus. He's racing off. At this point, I wasn't too interested in that final sprint, and here's why. Because I knew the people chasing him were all going to knock me out, because I had done plenty of work. Long story short, this is just a beautiful stretch because it shoots us into the beach, and we love riding from Porter Ranch to Santa Monica. And there we are. We're on Ocean, and we've just turned in to our favorite coffee spot in Santa Monica, Venice area. It is Harry's Cafe on the boardwalk. Very cool. There's sand, there's music, there's muffins, there's coffee. On this particular day, the muffins came late, but it was all good. We got what we wanted, restroom, water, and it was time to roll out after the break. At this point, or at least today, we lose Mike because he started from home. Home is in Westchester near the airport, so he came back with us to Santa Monica and took off home, actually with David. But this was our charge back. We had a great group, strong group. I was a little worried just because I know the group is strong, and I wasn't sure if I had enough in the tank to have a good run back up the Sepulveda. But you know, one thing about cycling, you just gotta keep going. You gotta get on that road, and you gotta find out to really see what it is you got left. So this is us exiting the VA, which is the Veterans Affairs Facility in West LA. We're exiting. This is the tunnel, which is Constitution. That's the street. and this shoots us onto Sepulveda, and there's Klaus, the eager beaver to do the Sepulveda pool or Sepulveda run, which is Sepulveda northbound. And I was feeling okay, and actually I felt pretty good on this whole stretch. This is really just a strategic grind. If you got a group and you can flow behind the group, it's fabulous. But at some point, you got some guys who feel great, like this guy here, Diego, and Don in the white, Klaus right here in the shepherd jersey. Up front, I think was Ray and Condor. And I wouldn't say it was game on, but they increased the pace just a bit, and it was go time rather than game on. It was a beautiful day. It was a little cool, but sunny. And I gotta say, I wasn't feeling so bad, because I was able to hold pace, I think, for long enough. At least made it up this hill. You know, kind of stand up, stretch the legs a little bit, stretch the back just a little bit, and also change muscle groups. And sit back down and keep on chugging. This is Ray right in front of me. He's strong. He's in the black. Condor's up front pacing. This is a little break we get. It's a downhill, but everybody keeps pedaling. So your heart rate gets a small break, but your heart rate stays up. And as we descend, we actually go into this kicker. It's like an 8% kicker on the other side of this tunnel we're going to go through. Or bridge rather, excuse me. But they kind of gapped me at that time, but luckily there was a red light, so I caught them, and here's that kicker. It's an 8% kicker. I already know I'm going to pay the price on this kicker, so what I try to do is sit in for as long as I can until they pull away. And once they pull away, actually this time around, I lowered the pace a little bit for myself, recovered, and I knew Klaus was behind me. And I was kind of waiting for Klaus. You'll see what I mean right now. We're kind of going up this kicker. I probably could have went a little harder, but I'm trying to save some for the very top. And there they are. They're pulling off, and I was okay with it. I could have fought or killed myself, so to speak, but I was happy. I was happy with getting that far with them, and I didn't want to blow up. So I waited for Klaus, and sure enough, Klaus came. Klaus was on a mission, but he also knows his pace, and Klaus has been riding excellent in the last few months. So I knew he was going to come, and I also wanted to get some good footage of Klaus. And then I think this is right when we go into the wall. I've been sitting for so long. This wall, I think it's about 8%. And I just felt like standing up this wall. My legs were feeling good. They weren't burning. I knew if I stood up, I would get to work these muscle groups. So I stood up the entire time. It's probably a 4-minute climb, which doesn't sound long, but it's long, especially when you're finishing a 60-mile ride. And I don't think I've mentioned it, but we do an 8 o'clock start from Pillars Cafe. But there's a few of us who do an early start. So we started in Encino at 7 a.m. and then we ride to the start for the 8 a.m. prayer and rollout. So this is the top of the wall. My legs felt good, my heart rate was up, but that's what the wall's for, and that's what this finish is for. It's like you're done. So give a little extra, open up the lungs, test the legs, build some strength. And I did that. There's one little kicker, and then you go into this tunnel, and it might look like I'm moving, but I was really, I was maybe hurting or suffering, but I just wanted to get there to that point, because now you descend into Encino. This is a really fun descent. It's fast, it's a little rough. It reminds me of a mountain bike descent. You see those roads? Just a little broken. But you just gotta go over all that broken stuff or cracked stuff, and the cracks aren't too big, so your tire's not gonna go in there, and you can roll over most of it. Nothing's gonna eat your wheel, thankfully. So your tires are good, and you can spot the line. You just gotta get it done. That's how I treat that Sepulveda northbound descent. I just go in fearless, as if nothing could happen. I think it puts me in the best state of mind. Just allows me to stay cool, calm, collected, and focused. You know, one thing about cycling is you don't want to fear, because that's a distraction. And there we go. This is the kind of the left turn off Sepulveda into the neighborhood, which is now we're heading to what was formerly known as the Corner Bakery on Ventura. It's now closed, but that's where I parked my car this morning. Steve parked his car, and Mike met us there from Westchester. And you know, Ray came out, we still had a little juice, and we're still trying to finish this, and I passed Ray, I had a little bit because we were still charging, and then Ray came around me with one more kick. And sure enough, Klaus was not finished. He had something for Ray. And they're not even done. These guys got to go back to Porter Ranch. But that's Klaus's competitive spirit. He's just ready to rock and roll with the firecracker. But this is it. This was my regroup. This was my 60 miles. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, everybody. Subscribe and comment Beach Planet USA.